All right, so welcome back to YouTube, guys. I am getting amped up. Today we're gonna recreate one of my back days from 2005, One Step Closer DVD. So many of you guys have seen, even many of you guys don't even know what a DVD is, but remember those days? So we're gonna recreate a lot of the exercises. Now, not as much weight. So when I say recreation, I'm a little careful about when I say recreating, and we're not going back into 9 plates on the T-bar and all that stuff, and we might have a little variations. Like I'm thinking about starting off with reverse grip pull downs, which I did on a actual cable machine. I'm probably gonna use the hammer strength. I didn't have a reverse grip hammer strength in the gym at that point. So I'm gonna do reverse T-bar rows, bent rows, maybe some deadlifts off the rack, I think is some of it. I have to look at I have a shot list of what I want to create, but I'll kind of explain everything, why I did it, how I did it. Gonna kind of roll with it, but once again, man, recreating the past for YouTube. So what I'll normally do is I'll get locked in. Back then I didn't take a pre-workout because we didn't have any. I probably used a fat burner back then, or a cup of coffee, something.
McDonald's coffee?
Yeah, I used to get a McDonald's black coffee. I would put 1 Splenda in it. Actually, I think I used Equal then, because I don't even think Splenda existed, the actual yellow packet. And listen, I'm never one of these guys that gone all natural with no artificial sweeteners and that kind of stuff. I've always used Splenda, Equal. I mean, shoot, we used Sweet and Low in the beginning. It's a little too, I don't know how you would call it, too much of a bite to it, I think. I'm not really a fan of Sweet and Low. Gonna get these workouts in and show you guys along the way. So we starting with that reverse grip pull down. Get you guys fired up for YouTube. All right, so this is our first exercise. What I'm focused on in this, okay? We always talk about the front double bicep and how the lats pop. What I feel about this, even though I feel like when you do a reverse pull, you're gonna work on that thickness. So that's front to back. So like with the side poses, you know, that depth of the chest and the back thickness. I'm really kind of focusing on dragging the lats out. So when I do this exercise, remember I use my fingers as hooks. I'm actually gonna use straps, but I'm actually gonna pull and I'm gonna get that nice stretch at the top, and I'm gonna contract the lats at the bottom and really work on that V taper. We always wanna get that V taper, whether it's a front double, front lat spread, rear lat spread, rear double bicep. Width of the back is the most important thing for most people, because listen, when you look athletic, you think of broad shoulders, tight waist, and obviously creating that back V taper is gonna be super important. So we are gonna focus on 12 repetitions on this movement. I'll do a couple warm-up exercises, just really get the feel, and then I'll work into my heaviest sets. I'll do 3 working sets here. So usually the first exercise I do when it comes to training, I'll always do what I call 2 feel sets, or basically warm-up sets, and get the feel for the weight, get the body warm a little bit, and then go right into those heavy sets. Now, when I was in my prime, I would pyramid the weight higher and higher till I peaked out at a pretty large weight. But for now, I'm more focused on just muscle fatigue, really getting through the repetitions, and really just feeling the movement rather than just trying to actually build crazy muscle. 45 to 60 seconds rest, kind of keep the rhythm. So if I was training with a training partner, which I rarely did, I would try to do basically the same weight. So I tried to train with partners that could kind of keep up with the same weight. And then they go, I go, kind of that rhythm. All right, so with the straps, obviously it's allowing me, and remember, I'm using my hands as hooks. So if you notice, as I go through the motion, my thumbs aren't even locked in the bar. And I don't know, I just feel it better that way. I can really contract the lats. Get that stretch right there. And I'm squeezing right there. So you notice I pause and I lock. I try to lock in and really just get the mind to muscle connection. We always talk about that. And sometimes I'll go through the reps. I'll go 3, 4, 5 reps, and then I'll stop and I'll lock. I just envision, you know, where I'm trying to target the muscles. I know it sounds crazy, but I just try to really lock in and get that feel and imagine me being on stage or, you know, squeezing the lats and what it's going to look like. So that's really important. As I'm going through the training, I always think about stage presence, muscle contraction, the look, not just by how it feels. I try to think about, hey, what's the outcome of this movement? And that's kind of how my mindset is as I go through these movements, okay? Next, we'll do one-arm dumbbell rows. I'm gonna stand a little more upright with these. Now, can you do in these positions? Yes, but I like to stand at more of a 45, maybe even a little more, and just really try to get that contraction, okay? Not as paying close attention to, you know, how my body momentum is, because, you know, people do tend to pick that apart a little bit. But once again, each side is pretty much even, 10 or 12 reps. I'm gonna start with the heaviest dumbbells on the side, which is 80, where I used to do 180. Okay, I'm gonna use the straps, good foot position, and kind of get that pull. All right, one thing I want to point out with these, I don't just come straight up and down. There's a pull to the front. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll actually, instead of coming straight down, I actually get a pull to the front so we can lengthen the lats from the bottom forward. So you notice I'll come down, I'll drop that shoulder, get that little stretch, and I'll come up. Really important to really lengthen the lats. We talk about V-taper. Really want to lengthen the lats. I'm trying to keep my head up a little bit on these. So head forward, dragging it out. The really great thing since 2005, the gyms have adapted to the T-bar row. We have a dedicated T-bar row. It's not a bar in the corner and making my own apparatus, because that's what I was doing. Having someone stand on the end of the bar as I did those 9 plates, and the bar, instead of just sitting in the corner, I have to get someone to stand because that bar would kick up. So with this exercise, we're working the middle of the back. So rear double bicep on Olympia stage is all I thought about with this movement. Favorite of Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman was always doing this, and he had one of the best backs, if not the best back in that era. So I was trying to take him out, and that's where I was holding back a little bit. So 2005, as I filmed One Step Closer, I was bleeding into the 2005 Olympia, which I really thought I had Ronnie on the ropes. 2004, it was close, challenge rounds. You know, my back was improving, but I really thought in 2005 it was mine. So I fell short. It was very close, controversial second, and I really improved my back. So for the first time ever standing toe-to-toe with Ronnie from the backside, I felt like I stood my own. And I attribute a lot of it to T-bar rows. So this exercise, 3 sets, 10 or 12 reps. The plates are a lot less these days, but we're getting it done. All right, so take a look at my grip. So instead of a V-bar, I'm actually gonna use this handle, okay? A little closer in. Once again, wrapping, using my fingers as hooks, okay? Little bend at the knees with this. We don't want to put too much pressure on that lower back. And when I come up, same thing, kind of like a 45-degree stance. just like 2005. For back day, I always kind of do some sort of stretches. You guys ask me this all the time. I'll usually do one arm, but I usually like to do both arms. This is kind of like my most common stretch on back day. I like to do it right before I get under the weight. All right, 3 plates seems like nothing to some of our viewers out there, maybe a lot. And people would just say, well, you're enhanced. Should be easy, right? All right, yep. The funny thing is I never trained to failure. I think today you see people moving through weight and what their failure is. I think for me, I always mention the volume game, rep after rep, blood flow, short rest periods, intensity. That's what's gonna help get the fibers going, flush the muscle with blood, and of course move those nutrients. I just had a meal like an hour before training. Always, always, always look at proper nutrition around the training. So I talk about the 3 most important meals a day. Meal 1, your breakfast. So if you're getting up in a fasted state and you're not eating and you're hitting the gym, I don't think you're going to have as much energy to be as a professional bodybuilder or to build a lot of muscle. You're going to have to take in the calories, nutrients. 1 hour before training, that meal. Very important, carbs, protein. 1 hour after training, so follow-up meal, carbs, protein. Those are your 3 most important meals. Now, if you're training first thing in the morning before work, I still think you should take in some aminos or something, maybe like a pump product, use some creatine. Creatine should be used no matter what level you're at. Every athlete, bodybuilder, functional training, lifestyle training, creatine is a great product, very researched, very studied with positive results. The nutrition fuels the training. The recovery is what helps the body grow, which is gonna come from food and rest and being outside the gym. So it's not always in the gym, you're not growing. You're tearing shit down and then getting out of the gym and feeding it. So really important. We're on to the next movement. So in 2005, I was using an Icarian with a pad here, and it was just a handled row like this from my recollection. So I'm gonna do the closest thing to it. This is a reverse grip. It's called a DY row, actually after Dorian Yates. So it's a reverse grip, okay, but it's a row. I'm gonna use the pad as a position. Remember, the best results, okay, chest stays high, really just trying to contract those lats, okay? We're trying to really engage the lower lats, mid-back, but mainly the lower portion. So when you talk about that Christmas tree, when we pull like this, before we do the lat spread or the rear double, or even just standing there, you wanna have that crisp lower portion. And we talked about that Christmas tree, meaning the striations, when you yank your back, when you get that body fat low and all that water's gone, and you've got that wrapped skin look, and it shows all those muscle fibers. That's what we're shooting for. So I'm gonna do about 90 pounds, focus on 12 reps. And here we go. Wrap this bad boy up. Lock my foot in position. Remember the chest against the pad. Nice steady motion. Contracting every rep. Three sets. So watching the top 3 at the Olympia this year, you have Derek, who has the best back in bodybuilding, Hadi not far behind, and then you have Samson, who's really improved his back. His lat spread's incredible. Shoulders are wide. You got a guy almost 300 pounds. I always said, if the big man, if he's close enough, he's gonna be very hard to beat. And honestly, I think about them when I do these movements. I think about the guys that came after me, even though people might look at my career, against Ronnie, and, that's a distant memory. It's a distant memory of what everyone looked like. So I'm just taking on what I've seen lately, and that was sitting in that front row watching those top 3 guys battle it out with those crazy backs, man. It still gives me motivation. So it just shows that I'm a fan of what bodybuilding is. Okay, nice position, chest against, so remember that chest stays high. That was 13. I just realized this shirt stinks. You know when you leave clothes in the washer for too long? All right, seated cable rows, pretty simple. Now a lot of variations, wide grip, rope. I'm gonna use this close grip. Now I used to strap weights on this thing, so probably 2005 I had the stack plus a plate. Once again, I always use my straps here. So position, same thing. Bend at the knees, chest high. Really working these lower lats, thickness. I think a little bit of the width. But this seems to be probably, I mean, would you say this is the most common exercise, I would think? You do this for your back movements? I mean, it's pretty simple to master. Although, like I said, the handle difference, whether it's a close grip, wide grip, 12 reps. So chest up, right there, right to the lower ab. 4, 5. So I'm gonna go up a little bit and weight. You can never show the weight that you're scared. Stretch those lats out. This is a power movement. Now, seated cable row, I always, for some reason, felt like when I got in these and I got that back pump, this would always be after 3 or 4 exercises in my routine. I never started with these, and I don't know why, but I always like to kind of get the blood flowing in the width before I started working the depth of my back. It was actually a point in my career I did 1 day extra for width because I really wanted to create that V-taper. You know, as my shoulders got wider, you know, that's the crazy thing, I had the cap shoulders, so I needed to increase the lats and the width. And I think I was always blessed with, you know, wider clavicles. If I could manipulate that even more by doing movements. So I added an extra day just to my back training that would help me accentuate that look. Okay, a little heavier weight here. Number 3 sets. Get done with those, man, I feel like I can go through the wall. Incline dumbbell rows. Now, advancement since that time is we have the J-bell, which is going to give me more of a less thought process of pulling where I would have to turn the dumbbells. These are very easy. It's just more of a rounder type bell here. So these are the J-bells. So your hand goes through the middle. Okay, this is going to make a lot easier row. So my starting position is still going to be as such, okay? So I'm starting with a row. So I'm laying down and flat. And I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna twist. Okay, so whether you have dumbbells or I'm gonna use these J-bells, this is our movement. Really, if you look from the side, really just getting that squeeze. I always talk about that pull, that contraction, all that. So that's really what I'm gonna focus on in this. Okay. Not too heavy of a weight, because I want to be able to get that full contraction squeeze. I'm going to keep my chest, I'm going to cheat up so my lower chest is at the top of the bench. So I want to be able to show that, okay? Good foot position. So my lower chest is at the top of the bench, okay? Starting position, boom. So I really like the incline as an isolation. So if you notice a lot of my bent barbell rows, T-bar rows, you're always gonna have body momentum. And what I'm trying to take out of this movement is the momentum of the body swing. So being locked on that pad, squeezing, that mind to muscle connection. I constantly talk about it. And the only way you learn it is to go through the motions over and over and repetitive. So I don't want to sit here and call myself an expert trainer. I've been doing it for well over 30 years now. And I feel like I'm still learning as I'm going. All right, guys, so we're finishing this movement where rack pulls. Now, we're not going to get the 2005 5 plates aside, but we're going to get 2 plates aside. If you remember the rack, the adjustable racks were different back then. We're going to pretend that we have a lower rack at about this level. So ideally, it's going to be a movement of this. So it's only not taking it down so you're working too much of the core. We're trying to focus on the thickness of the back, the traps, the rhomboids, and really just trying to kind of finish off. And what I really like about deadlifts, I talk about this because I do them every other week. And this was the same thing I did as I was battling Coleman in 2005. Every other week I was doing deadlifts. Now, sometimes I did them off the floor, but a lot of times I did them off the rack. So if you're putting deadlifts in, and I'm not talking about for hamstrings, I'm not talking about stiff-legged deadlifts, I'm talking about actual deadlifts focusing on the lats, I would suggest every other week. Okay, is it a bodybuilding movement? It's up to someone's opinion. But ideally, the bottom position is going to be around the knees. So the rack pull would be here. So it's very short range, but it's going to help me engage and kind of pop those lats and really get that lower thickness, the mid thickness, the traps. Anytime you grab, okay, I'm going to still use these straps. Watch my position, okay? Medium grip. Come over here so you can see this grip. Okay, this is our grip. So not too wide, because I'm trying to really trigger bringing that lower portion. So right where this line is, that's kind of where my thumbs are going to be. Okay, head straight ahead. I'm going to keep my head up on this movement. Okay, straight back. See that position at the bottom. So 8 reps. Now, one thing about deadlifts, it's the lowest rep range of anything I do. Where I'm a 10, 12, sometimes 15 rep, 8 is always my deadlift rep range. I feel that's enough for me. I don't want to go to the point where, you know, I've already done a million other back exercises. Always my finishing movement, 3 sets. Like I said, I'm going to stay with the 225. This movement's great, no matter what level you're trying to either compete at or, like I said, just lifestyle. Nothing better than the rack pulls, basic deadlift movement. See that little bend at the knee? That's important too, because we're not doing stiff leg, we're doing back. One more. So a little recap on back day. Still one of my favorite days of the week. You know, I built my legs, I think, with the most of ease. I know that probably drives a lot of you nuts because you work so hard to get the legs. But in high school, truthfully, I had really great legs. Without even training, I did concrete work. If you guys don't know, my family business is concrete. Cutler Brothers Concrete, based in Sterling, Massachusetts. They still run that business. I got 3 brothers that worked extremely hard, mentored me. I did that from 11 to 18, so I had a great build from that. That's what got me into bodybuilding. And also joining the gym at 18, you know, when I was in college, you know, I got out of doing that construction work and, you know, my body just exploded. I mean, started eating more, attending college. I would train from 8 to 10 at night at the Gold's Gym in Worcester, Mass. And I fell in love with training. I fell in love with training because I saw the progress. And I was a crazy squatter. I did, I think, 700 at 19. I would squat till my nose bled. Yes, that's truth. I mean, there was the mirror I remember at that Gold's Gym. in front of the squat rack. The squat rack faced a mirror, and there was spit and everything all over that mirror because the guys would get in there. Like, squatting was a huge thing for the East Coast people. I mean, you know, getting in there in the winter, you know, taking off your winter boots and, you know, wearing your atomic shoes, or, you know, even some people training in their socks, which now is adapted to how people are today. Chuck Taylors, something flat, you know, squat shoes. I got accustomed to it. My legs blew up to the point where I couldn't even train my legs that hard from 20 to 23. I remember not even just doing a few extensions. I was always challenged by Ronnie Coleman to get my back bigger. And I know training here in Vegas, I remember training in California, you know, I always had a mission when I went to the gym I visualized competing against him and what our back poses looked like. And I was never satisfied with how I looked. So when I went to the gym every day, I had a mission to really focus on increasing the volume on my back day. So I would do up to 30 sets for back training, which you've seen today, a little recap of what I kind of did in 2005. And trust me, there were workouts I did a lot more, set after set. Was never enough, man. I was fueled to win. That's all I had in my mind since I placed second. I had to win. And as you know, history kind of explained the whole story. I was second to Coleman before I won in 2006. So for me, you know, I had the taste of defeat a lot more times with that close of capacity to winning. That drove me every day to go to the gym. So that back training meant so much to me because there was one body part that I felt someone had dominance on me, and that was, you know, the guy that was winning the Olympia every year. So I wanted to go to the gym with a vengeance every day. I trained with focus, determination, purpose. That's the main thing, is purpose. So I would roll through the workout the day prior. I mean, for my back workouts, and I always have my day off after back. So when we talk about structuring what schedule you guys want to be on, I think the ideal thing is to take your two hardest body parts to train, which is legs and back. Listen, half your body's your legs. Your back is like, there's so much detail to it, like upper, lower, you know, obviously increasing the width. I felt like I always needed a day off. So the schedule that I ran was a 2-on, 1-off cycle. And what I would always have a day off after back training and a day off after leg training. So that would give me a recovery. I talk about that, getting out of the gym, feeding it, and I would kill it those days because I knew the next day was a day off. So I would go that little extra because I'm like, man, I'm gonna have tomorrow off, rest, fuel up, eat, you know, get all that glycogen refilled, and keep going at it. And you saw progress take its time, eventually end up winning, beating this guy in his own game. And some might say, hey, he got older. Some might say, Jay, you improved enough. I felt like I had improvement every single year before, you know, I won that title. And, you know, those workouts meant so much to me. So I still have that feeling when I get in the gym and I train. And although today the purpose is a lot different, it's more of a lifestyle fit. I weigh 228 pounds today, which is a lot different from 298 pounds when I was training off season for the Coleman days, Mr. Olympia. And, but I love training back, you know, so you guys can take a little bit of piece of this, and, you know, if you want to throw it in, there's a few exercises in there, especially like the incline, which is a little different with the dumbbells. The reverse grip pulls as always your first starting movement. If you look at any routine I did, whether it's a DVD, YouTube, you'll always see, I always started in, and the main thing is, guys, don't fool yourself. I did the same sequence of sets and reps and exercises pretty much every workout. So if I did back the week prior, I trained back once every 5 to 7 days, I would actually do the same order. So that was the reverse grip pull downs, one arm dumbbell rows, T-bar rows, sometimes bent barbell rows. You know, there was so much to it that, you know, I didn't have to change things because I felt like I was training like that intensity. So people say that muscle confusion principle. I think if you're training your ass off and you're training with focus and, you know, you're pushing yourself and you're getting in like at full capacity, you have no injuries, there's no excuses. I went to the gym every day like it was my last, right? So I don't think there's a necessary way to have to change everything up to confuse the muscles too much. Listen, it's always great to do variations because, yes, do we get sick of the same thing? But man, when you're hunting the biggest title in the world, which I was, it takes someone that's hyper-focused on that to go through those workouts, man. So I think we just keep pushing ourselves. Like I said, take a little bit of piece of this. This is kind of reinventing 2005 and 2024. You know, it's almost 20 years later. But I'm still doing it, man. That's the main thing, is the people that left me and stopped following the sport in 2005, or when I won the title, guess what? I'm back. I'm still here, still doing it, still out here educating, still motivating, still, you know, like I said, watching the guys on stage this year, looking for motivation myself. And it's great to be able to be part of it. I mean, bodybuilding can be a successful thing for so many people. I feel like there's a lot of negative things out there about professional bodybuilding these days, but look at, man, 51, I'm still out here crushing on a daily basis. I'm training mostly 7 days a week, although I did take yesterday off. I was burnt, I was tired. Mondays usually wear me out a little bit. So I needed a rest day just because, you know, I have a heavy load. I've been traveling quite a bit. And once again, thanks guys for following the YouTube channel. We keep putting out this content. JTV, man, keep spreading the word. Hope you guys grab a little piece of this. Comment below if you guys want to make any comments about it. I appreciate you guys following along, and we'll see you back at the next episode.
No mercy for you, no worries for you. That Game of Thrones, go Cersei on you. I flip the script, I roll the dice. Don't fall asleep, cause I'm working nights.